Good evening, Rokugan. Thank you for tuning into Fire Chicken Review, where we talk about custom gaming products for the living card game Legend of the Five Rings. I have a special review for you. I just got in the mail some custom ring tokens to replace the five rings that you see in front of you by a company called Luxury Playstyle, which you may know from my previous reviews of some of their tokens. So I wanted to do a little bit of an unboxing video first and then show you the rings themselves. So here's the box. It comes in the protective wrapping on top of everything else. I'm going to open it up here. So moving these rings to the sides. So it comes up here. I pre-cut this so I don't have to do that off screen. So it comes in a nice little box. Within the box here, what do we have? Looks like it's bubble wrap. All right, so inside here, it's a bubble wrap rings. It looks like it comes with something a little bit special. So this is the protective thing that comes in here. Just your normal standard mailing procedures. Rip that open. And inside, it looks like we have a nice box to hold all your prize rings that you have. So opening this, let's see if we get a view of the rings. Oh, looks like we don't get a view of the rings right away, but we do get a view of the company Luxury Playstyle here. I think these, what are these here? All these look like they're to put your rings into, just ring protectors here. And here are the rings themselves. Not to show them for too long, I'm going to put these away because I gotta see these things here. So inside here, it looks like, as I was saying, these are just for the rings themselves to protect them. And it looks like there's a note inside, so I'll quickly open up that note. And if you want to have a read through here, I'm not going to read it on screen, but basically it looks like it covers what comes in the product here, talking about everything inside. So that's kind of cool that they're doing that for this set. I'm going to put that to the side though. Moving back to the box. So before I get right into the rings, looking at the box itself on the outside here, it's a nice little box. I think right away, if you're keeping your rings inside of this, this will make for a great prize support because with your meta, you can engrave wherever you want, or if it's for yourself, you can engrave something on the front here, easily going to any spot that does engravings. And it's just a nice box. On the back, it has the felt that you would expect, so it doesn't move around there. It's a great size. And doing that opening again, wow. Here are the rings. I'm going to review them individually, but just to show you quickly, I'm loving this. This is fantastic. This is great. I love that it's that touch of luxury that you would expect from this company. I find this gold here it's a little bit cheesy myself. I think I'd rather have had instead of it being gold, I'd rather this have been clear to show off the rings in the background, but still gives it that luxurious feel. I love everything inside this box. And yeah, let's get right into the rings. So it looks like the rings are in here. You can easily pop them out. Just if I zoom in here, or pull the box up, I guess, for you. You can easily tab out the rings and then put them back in, which is a nice touch, so you don't have to physically touch the rings if you don't want to. Getting into the first ring, I'll put the box to the side, just popping a ring out. Here we go. So I'll put this to the side. And wow, here's the very first ring. As you can see, it has, you're probably going to see my camera in the background because of that gold reflective right there, but that's fine. Try to keep it in line here. Here we go. So this ring looks fantastic. Obviously, right away, you're going to tell that this is the fire ring, and it looks great. I love the sides here. You can easily tell that one side's the political here with that blue inner ring, and the other side is the military with that red fire ring here. I love the layers of the fire here, with each layer being a different, fiery color. You got your yellows, you got your orange, you got that red. My only small complaint for this one here, sorry, let me zoom in better so you can actually get a full view. My only small complaint for this one here is that I find on the edge, this flame here kind of blends into the military side of this ring, but I love the colors. I love how this one pops out. And the only other thing I dislike about this is that you can see my phone camera in the background because it's the reflective of the yellow here, but that's fine. And on the political side, again, the political side really pops out easily. And it's just a mirror image on both sides. These coins are a great weight. If I was to compare it to the actual ring that comes in, so in the base game, I mean, it's about twice the thickness and slightly, ever so slightly bigger, which is nice when you want metal rings. I think it's exactly the right size that you want. So this works out perfectly. I'm loving this ring itself. I'll talk about some of my small issues I have with the complete set of rings, but overall, I think this works out. I think I'd rather have had the military and the political side as the outer ring, but it still works out here, and I like the fiery orange as the outer ring in this case, and the flames coming off and popping out. I think this ring is fantastic. It's a really nice one, so it's a good one to start off with. The only other thing, and you'll see in the card that comes with this rings, that you're not going to want to put your fingers too much on this, unlike myself. You're probably going to want to keep them in the cases or you're in the display box here, just because gold easily leaves marks on it, and unless you're going to be cleaning your rings, you're probably going to want to protect them so they don't get those issues. So that's the fire ring. I think it looks fantastic. Easy design. I love the multi-layers. I love the 3D aspect of it. Really pops out well. I think this ring is awesome. I'm also a big fan of the fire ring. And just to let you know, and speaking about the fire ring, as you know, it allows you to honor or dishonor. You may have noticed within Luxury Playstyle's video. If you haven't seen it, I recommend checking it out. They did a video talking about how they made these rings and how they came up with the design. It's actually a really interesting video. And there's a little bit of a hint within the pictures of they're making honor and dishonor tokens, so metal honor and dishonor tokens that look really awesome. So check that out. So that's the fire ring. Moving on to the next ring here, we're going to go to the water ring, and just another fantastic ring. I love this ring as well. Love how it works out. I'm a big fan of the waves popping out here. Sorry, let's see if I can get, there we go. Big fan of the waves popping out. It looks fantastic here. On both the military and political side pop out. My only issue with the political side here is that because you have this like sky blue and then the blue here, it kind of merges together. As well with the outer ring here. I kind of wish the blue was either a different color or a different shade than the blue that you have in the water, but you'll see the other rings that it's a theme that goes on with this, and that's fine. It's just a small little complaint that I have. But I love the waves. I love the gold that's in this. And it's funny, this one doesn't have as much of the red or the blue rings for the military and political side here, but they still pop out really well. And the other aspect that I love is just this little hint of, if you look at it closely, you can see the little speckles of water with the blue here. The only problem is if you look at the one that's right around here, some of them I find the blue is a little bit hard to see, so it would have been nice if you could see those speckles of water, but I can understand you're trying to get that fine detail into these rings. It can be a little bit challenging. I still can see it slightly, and it works out, right? So even that one right here, it looks fantastic. I like that. But as far as my issues with the ring, again, that outer ring, that sky blue, I wish it was a different color than this. Maybe a little bit more blue within the water. The waves themselves, though, look fantastic. If you have this down and you're looking at it, sorry, it's super shiny here. If you have this down and you're looking at this ring, you're easily going to tell that this is the water ring. Just for a quick comparison, one of the issues that you may have noticed that players had with is that the water ring and the air ring look very similar. If you're looking at it, you might be like, well, that kind of looks like waves here for the air ring compared to this. So if I take the air ring here, I won't review it yet. I want to, but it'll be the next one coming up here. You can see that these easily are, you can tell the difference of which ring is which. Clearly this is the air and clearly this is the water. So that's a nice little touch that you won't confuse like the base board ones that you get there. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got for this ring here. And again, I apologize about being able to see all the reflective in the background because of just how shiny these rings are. But this ring's really nice. I'm enjoying the set already with this reveal video. It's looking fantastic. Going into, you know what? I'm going to skip the air ring. I'm going to go into the earth ring next, actually. So with the earth ring, the first thing that pops out for this ring, oh wow, is that you got that, just that center there, just that cracked earth, that shattered earth, causing that chasm that you get going on there with the mountains in the background. I'm a big fan of that. I love the art design for this. And I should mention that, again, you can watch it in Luxury Playstyle's video when they're talking about how they came up with the rings. They actually did a design contest where they went out, and I think he said he had over 60 different types of designs that he went on the website, asked a bunch of artists to come up with the 5 elements in their artistic view of them. And this was voted on. Actually, I should put a little disclaimer on. I actually voted up this set of rings as well. Not the final set, but the initial ones, talking about some of the pros and cons that I thought of the rings. And this is something that is fantastic in my opinion because the designer of the rings actually went to the L5R, the Legend of the Five Rings community, and talked to them and said, hey, what would you like to see for elemental rings? And people voted on it. They gave feedback. He listened to the feedback, and this is the ring sets that he came up with. So I won't go too much further into that at the moment. Getting back to the ring itself, again, I'm loving the earth. I'm loving the mountains. Easily can tell the military and political side because that is the only red and blue on each side. So this one, if you have it down, you're going to be like, yeah, I'm going to do military earth or military or political earth here. And it just looks fantastic. Now, my biggest con with this one, and it is a little bit of a con, is that when you're looking at this ring, one of the other things that pops out right away is that the mount, well, just the colors that were chosen for here. I understand that you're going to want to choose a lot of brown because it has that earthy brown look to it. But the issue that I have with this ring in particular is that I find that the brown is a little bit overwhelming. There's too much of it. I would have liked to see a few other color palettes on here. And again, this outer ring being the same as the brown here, it would have been nice to have had a little bit of change. I think the green that you have in the mountains would have been nice if you had it on like the little small parts of the earth here, having like a green here and maybe a little bit of like a blue or something else for the mountains. But that's a artistic opinion. I still think right away you're going to be like, yeah, this is the earth ring. It still looks fantastic and it really pops out. Like, just look how shiny these rings are, right? And oh wow. This is easily going to replace the base rings. The only issue that you're going to find with this is that unlike myself, you're probably not going to want to touch the rings as much, but that's why you have the cases, which I'll be showing off in a bit. So that's the Earth ring. I don't have too much more to say about it. I think it works out well. Just the color scheme, as I was mentioning. Moving on to the second last ring, the Air ring here. I think this is probably, and I apologize about the stall here. This is probably my favorite ring, actually. I think this ring is fantastic. I love the fact that the designer, and don't quote me if I'm wrong here, I think he went back and he redid the Air ring and the Void ring, which I'm saving for last. And if he did do this, and I think he did, this ring, it's spot on. This is godly, if you want. And I'm not trying to say in the religious view or anything. It's just awesome. Like you're thinking about the air. You're thinking about the clouds here. It pops out. The military side looks so great. The political side looks fantastic. Even with all that blue here, it's just a subtle blue because of the contrast of the white and the colors of the red and the blue really shine off here. It looks great. One of the things that Luxury Playstyle mentions, and you can see it when I have it up close here, is that there is some imperfections within the gold, and that's just part of the design process, because as soon as the rings are touched or being made, you can instantly see these scratches, which I'm showing off here. Obviously, these are brand new, so you just have those imperfections, but that's fine. That's just the rings themselves. If you're looking from it from here, it looks fantastic. It really pops out. And I love the ring. I love the dark blue and the light blue that you got on here, the clouds. And I'm just dreaming about playing L5R when I look at this. It's just a great ring. And I might be overstating how much I love this ring, which is funny because if I compare it to the cardboard, this is probably why I love the ring. Again, this can be confused for it being like waves, so someone might think, oh, that's an artistic view of being water ring instead of the air ring. There's no confusion with this ring, which is very important. Flipping it to the opposite side, again, no confusion, unlike this ring here. These are going to make such great prize rings, or just getting the rings for yourselves. I really like this ring. I'm not going to go too much further into that at the moment. Let's get into the next one that we got here, the Void ring. So, my disclaimer about the Void ring. If you've seen some of my reviews, or if you talk to me at all, one of the things I've said that's probably really hard to do is to make a nice Void ring, because even the design, and this has been in L5R for a long time, it's hard when you're talking about something that the big void, everything escaping. You think of a vortex, you think of nothing, you think of darkness, all that stuff. But it's hard to portray in a blue and red ring here, right? Well, I'm happy to say that I think this ring does an excellent job of getting that void ring into it. And this might be just an Easter egg, but one of the things I noticed, and maybe I'm just overlooking things, is that if you look at the design of Luxury Playstyles, just their image, you might notice that this ring here has a similar look to their actual outer design, which with the designer making this ring himself, I think he took some of that aspect and took that artistic view and added that touch in here. You have obviously the start base here for the Void ring, I believe here. So you have the Void ring in here. Then you have this vortex of everything. The designer said it's all the elements being sucked in. I don't think it shows all the elements. I think it would have been interesting if there was like maybe a little bit more color here, but it's definitely a nice vortex. I think the political side pops out, the military side pops out. I'm loving these specks of gold. It feels like I'm in space and everything's being sucked up. And it's probably hard to see here, but I believe this is a dark purple. I don't think it's the same black here. I think it's a dark purple, but it's everything's such a void, everything's such hard to see, but in a good way, I mean, that it's hard to tell for that. But I do like the black. I like the purple and the swirl that you got on here. And in this case, I do like the outer black rim. I think for something that is so dark and grim when you're talking about the void, I think it works out really well. Again, this being said, I think this is like an 8 out of 10 for me for a void ring, because I don't think I'm ever going to see anything that is big enough for me. And when I say big enough for me, what I mean here is that I think like the art design, I think it's going to be hard for me to find the perfect void ring. So I'm biased. Right now, I think an 8, a 9 is probably the highest I would go for anything. But let me know what you think of the void ring itself. I still think it's fantastic. It looks great. And compared to this, I see where they took the base and just upgraded from it. This is just it's just awesome. And I think it's really great. And I think it's going to work well. I think that if you have these set of rings and you're taking them, the only issue you're going to have is deciding, do you want to actually play with these rings, or do you just want to have them on your shelf to display? I actually showed the pictures of these rings to my wife, and she said, wow, these are actually fantastic, and I wouldn't mind if these were out on display. And to give you a little bit of a background for that, that's a big compliment, me being a significant geek and having way too many geeky things, for her to say, oh, you can showcase some of your stuff here, because if you had company coming over, they're just actually a nice set of rings, and people would, you know what, I think people would buy these rings outside of L5R, and that's a great accomplishment when you're talking about, I think coin collectors would see these elemental rings. For the price for coin collectors, it's inexpensive. They would see this and be like, wow, I can get this for under 100 US. That's fantastic for a set of 5 rings. But that does lead up to one of the cons overall for this. It is a luxury style of coins. I'm not sure if you're going to want to have them in play. If you can get them in play, you probably will. But one of the issues being that since they are so expensive, it does cut out some people that would potentially be able to afford them. But if you are a store and you're seeing these rings, I recommend picking this up for your group, or if you are someone like myself that runs a meta, getting some people to chip in and having this as the main prize support, taking the outer box, engraving your information on top of here for the winner, or just saying the 2018 prize award for your local L5R tournament. I think that's fantastic. And that's exactly what these are supposed to be for. These are prize elemental rings from Luxury Playstyle. One of the last things I want to go over is just talking about this. I noticed that when I was taking this out, it's a little bit too thick in here, but that's fine. I would like them to be flushed a little bit more, so some of these sink in a little bit further. If I can, let's see, zoom in a little bit, you can see that they don't flush right to the top, which is fine. I think it's nitpicking a bit. You can still move them up so that they can shine. Again, the gold, I would have liked to see that have been clear, but these rings are fantastic. The last thing I wanted to show you is putting these into the capsules. So I'll put this to the side. So here's the capsules. I think these are going to be slightly too large here. So give me a second, I'll pause this. And sorry for the pause there. I just wanted to find the edge, so I found the edge here. So I'll pop that out. Let's put one of my favorite rings, the fire ring. And yeah, so I think it's going to be slightly too big. You can hear it rattle a bit, which isn't something that you want. You probably have to put a cushion or something in here. But when I say slightly too big, it's because if you look here, you can see that you don't want that for your cases. But this is what was probably what the designer came up with for providing. It's really hard to get when you're making custom rings like this to get something that's perfect. So that a little bit of movement if you're transporting it, it's not a big deal. It's not going to damage it. It's going to keep it nice and safe. But if you're playing with the rings, it's just that you want them to be nice and flush versus having that little bit of room. Overall, it's still going to look fantastic on your board. So doing a political challenge or a military challenge, I think I would prefer to play them outside of the case, but because you don't want to get any marks or anything on them, you would probably leave it like that. And again, trying to pop it out here, let's see. Once they're in, maybe they're gonna stay in. There we go. So popping it out, putting it back there for now. So there you go. Those are the 5 elemental rings from Luxury Playstyle. I apologize about stumbling the last little bit, and I went over my time, so this most likely will be 2 videos. But these are the rings. I recommend picking these up. I think there was a limited set made. I think there was only 75 initially minted for people to buy. Again, I have to thank Luxury Playstyle for giving me a set to review. And even with all my biases, if you're looking at these rings yourselves, you're probably coming up with what you think and if they look nice. I think these are some of the best rings, though, to be frank, that are currently out on the market. And it meets the price cost. So that's, if I'm talking about the biggest cons here, the price are a little bit high. But when you're talking about for metal coins, it's actually kind of inexpensive. So I recommend, if L5R is your game, check out these rings. If you're ever in the area where I'm at, I go and I hit up a lot of tournaments. Come and ask me. I'll probably have the rings on me, and I can show them off. And so this is a Fire Chicken review. I hope you enjoyed this review. Check out some of our other reviews on the channel. And as always, enjoy playing L5R.